Rafi Chowdhury is an expert in the field of job recruitment and career advancement and has helped countless candidates find success in their professional lives. And he's on the line with us here today to share his insights on how to create a winning resume that will get you noticed, how to nail your next job interview, and how to navigate the often tricky waters of salary negotiation. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Toby. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. So, can you tell us a bit about your role as a recruiter through Randstad for Google and what you actually do on a daily basis?
What I do basically is, let's just say you were to apply to a job at Google. I would be the person that would get your resume at a certain point, depending on what job you apply to. And it would be my responsibility to basically hold your hand and take you through the entire process from beginning to end.
Wow.
Which includes a phone screen, several rounds of interviews, offer letter negotiation, compensation, things of that nature. And once you've actually signed an offer letter, that's kind of when you move on to the next step. And I'm no longer involved in that process anymore.
So as part of what you do, kind of like being an interviewer and sorting out who the best people for the role are you just there to support them through the process, no matter if you think they're going to get the job in the end or not?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So I'm a headhunter, which also means that, yes, so if someone applies to a job, I would be the person that they would be connected to take them through the whole process, to screen the candidate, to make sure that they're a fit. But also I support the hiring managers in the sense that whenever they have a position that they've posted, I would be the one to go out and find the right candidate for them and then bring them into the position and introduce them to that hiring manager. So it's a little bit of both.
So what are the main things that a candidate can do to stand out and increase their chances of getting that interview or getting hired?
So there's several things that a candidate, I think, that they can do to make sure that they stand out and be successful at it. One of the most important aspects of all of this is obviously the resume. And there's a lot of things revolving around the resume that I would say are misinformation that goes around. But at the end of the day, the job, what your resume essentially does, it helps you get an interview, right?
Yeah.
So it should be basically a highlight of your biggest accomplishments in very simple, plain text. What I advise to most of my candidates is your resume needs to be structured so that your most important information is highlighted in this kind of format where you talk about what you did, how you did it. That's where you throw in your skill sets and your hard skills that you've used. And what did that do for your company? What was the end result? What did that accomplish for your company? And if you write out your experiences in that sort of format, you have a really good chance of getting seen by a hiring manager.
And there are some who say the CV, the resume, whatever you want to call it, you should not put everything in it because you want to save some stuff for the interview. But with that, is there a risk of not putting enough in your resume and then not even getting the interview in the first place?
For sure. There's always that chance that you won't put it enough. A general rule of thumb that I recommend is that if you have less than 5 years of work experience, chances are that your resume does not need to be much longer than 1 page, maybe maximum of 2 pages. Even if you have 10 plus years of experience, I still would recommend a resume to be less than 2 pages. Just because the reality of it is that you get about 10 to 30 seconds for a hiring manager to review and read your resume to decide if this is someone that they want to talk to or not. With that being said, the best chance and shot that you can give yourself to make sure that you've included enough information is to thoroughly read the job description that you are looking to apply to and look at those minimum qualifications and those preferred qualifications that job is looking for. And just be sure that those are very clearly included and stated in your resume. Clearly enough that a 4th grader would be able to read that and be able to identify and make sure that information is included. And if you do that, I think you would have a great chance.
And for the interview process itself, what are the most common mistakes made there?
One of the most common mistakes made there would be to show up late. A lot of people just don't take it seriously. Common mistakes include not researching the company or the position. I've had some candidates that went into an interview, but they didn't know which sector that job was going to be. What was the product area that would be? Sometimes they didn't even know the title of the posting. these are some things that you want to research. You want to research a little bit about the company. If possible, you want to look up to see who you're going to be interviewing with, and look up their backgrounds on LinkedIn and other places like that, just so you have an understanding of who you're speaking with and their background. Maybe you might be able to connect with something on, something that you guys might have in common. Other common mistakes include not treating the receptionist, the gatekeeper, with a lot of respect, because that person is actually your first sort of like person that you interact with, and they actually give their feedback back to the hiring manager. So if you treat that person with disrespect in any way, that will definitely backfire.
Yeah.
Those are just some things to keep in mind.
And actually, in a lot of small businesses, it could turn out that gatekeeper is a senior manager and you've messed with the wrong person.
Exactly.
Could you get the job in an interview if you brought in a load of donuts?
That is actually a really nice gesture. I can't think of any scenario where that might backfire, So yeah, I would say go for it. It can't hurt.
True, unless they had like nuts in them and you knew that the interviewer was allergic. That would be dodgy, but let's not get into that.
Exactly.
And once you've got the job, how can you advance your career? Because there's a lot of people who are maybe stuck in what we call a dead-end job, where they just feel like they're doing the same thing and actually they want to climb the ladder but don't know how to.
A general piece of advice there is basically you need to act like you're already in the role that you are looking for. And what that means is essentially taking on the responsibility if needed, going above and beyond, always asking for bigger projects. It also might include knowing when to switch jobs or when to switch companies even. If you feel like your career isn't heading in the direction that you want, at the pace that you want, sometimes you may have to change companies to be able to get that. But at the end of the day, you really have to be someone who is likable, because generally speaking, you might be very talented and you might be great at your job, but if you can't get people to like you, it would be very difficult for you to advance the next steps. So it really boils down to the people that how, your skill sets and your experiences that you have, and how likable you are. So if you focus on those three things, I think you would be set for success.
Yeah. How's the pandemic affected the job market as well? Has it changed? Because I remember right at the start of the pandemic, you couldn't get a job virtually because everywhere was closing. And right now in this country, I think it's beginning to slow down, but there's a record amount of vacancies. It's probably the easiest time to get a job in a long time.
Yeah, so after the country, the world kind of sort of recovered from the pandemic, if we want to call it that, there was a lot of jobs available. But at the moment, from what I've been seeing in the market, there has been a little bit of a drop off. I know that a lot of the tech companies are doing major layoffs. There are many factors that are playing into this, but overall, I think the market is definitely on a track to be going up over the next year or so, especially by the end of this year. I think there will be a lot of companies that will be starting to hire aggressively again. So, the market is always good for talented individuals. So the best thing that you can do as talent is just continue to sharpen your skills by getting those kind of jobs that would be challenging, by, investing in your education, your personal learning, things of that nature. Because if you're the top 10% of talent in any given market, it doesn't matter how many layoffs are happening or what the situation of the market is. Chances are you won't be without a job. So it's just better to prepare in advance when the market is good. Then when it is bad, you still know that you're going to be one of those few people that will still survive at their job.
Well, where are we able to keep up to date with you and find everything that we need to find out?
So you can keep up with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. You can also go to my website, which is RafiChowdhury.com. And there's a contact page there. You're welcome to reach out to me via that as well. And also my personal email, which is rafi1220@gmail.com.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today. It's been great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.